Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks and welcome to Inkdependence.com. Today we are looking at a couple of pens. These are both Franklin-Christoph pens, but more importantly, these are new Franklin-Christoph Nibs. Thanks to Franklin-Christoph for letting me review these guys. I'm pretty psyched to have had these for about the last week. Putting them through their paces, learning how to write with these, because these are not normal nibs. These are flexible nibs. You can see there are cutouts there on the wings, here, and you can also see the feed through that nib. That's pretty dope, right? I know I like that feature because I like to look through the nib and it looks pretty cool. But what those allow you to do is they allow the nib, which is a 14 karat nib, to flex at these points, and so you get a lot of bendy action out of these tines. Let's see if I can do this in front of the camera. I'm not going to try to do it with two pens. That's a fool's errand. You can see I've done this before. This is not my first take. That's a secret. Don't tell anyone. And like that, just a little bit of pressure. You can see those wings moving. And that's a pretty neat feature because it allows you to get that flex there without changing I think the basic metallurgy of the pen or anything like that, or the nib rather. And so you get these 14 karat nibs with these cool cutouts straight from the factory, and then you can get them from Franklin-Christoph. The reason that I have two of these here is that one of them has a special grind on it because Franklin-Christoph is offering these with the SIG grind. If you've been watching these videos for very long, you know I love a good SIG nib. I use broad SIGs and medium SIGs on most of my Franklin-Christoph pens because I really like it a lot. And get these oriented the right direction. There we go. And as you can see, the tipping on the green pen is far different from the tipping on the other one because it has a SIG. The SIG is somewhere in between a stub and an italic. It allows you to get the sort of line variation and also crisp lines of an italic without having that like rough edge that digs in if you happen to rotate your pen. So I tend to rotate this way a little bit, and so if I get an italic nib, it just digs right in. The SIG doesn't have that problem, and so I can use it reliably all the time, and I really like that. So let's do some writing samples because that's what everybody loves when you see a nib video. Let's do a writing sample. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's start out with the regular Franklin-Christoph. This is the Franklin-Christoph Flex. And as I said before, this is a 14 karat nib. And this nib allows you to get some pretty good line variation. It is a round tipping on this one, so you're not getting line variation in your normal writing. But let's just do some quick verticals and horizontals. And that's with no pressure at all. You can feel the bounce in this, even with like just very little pressure, or even like really no pressure. You just touch it to the page, and as you write, you can sort of feel it bounce with you, and it's really a nice sensation. And there's the horizontal lines. Now the horizontals and the verticals here are the same because this is the round nib. However, you put a little bit of pressure on it, and boom, all of a sudden, lots of width. I am not particularly good at writing with a flex nib. Let's be honest about that. I don't have much experience doing that. I do little squiggles and that sort of thing, but I really haven't done any like calligraphy practice or anything of that nature. But with this nib, you definitely can feel that bounce, even if you're mostly like a print or like some sort of print hybrid writer like I am. This you can still feel it in this pen. Let's do a little writing sample with this one, and then we'll look at the SIG nib in just a sec. So here we go. Always forward, forward always. You'll notice that this ink is still wet, and that's because, as I said, this is a very wet nib, and also this is on Rhodia paper. This is Franklin-Christoph's Black Forest, which is one of my new favorite inks. I've got it in a bunch of pens, and I keep refilling it. This one, actually, since I've gotten the flex nib on this, I've refilled it twice because I've been writing with it a lot, and also because it tends to go through ink. This is Pop Hunter from the great show. At least the first half is great. Luke Cage. I've been rewatching this recently, and man, is it good. Especially, the first several episodes just hit hard. All right, so this is the regular Franklin-Christoph Flex nib, regular 14K nib. As an upgrade, this adds not that much really to the pen purchase. It's like $90. It's the same as a gold nib, so that's cool, right? You're not paying extra for this flexi ability. All right, let's look at the Flex SIG. There we go. Let's see if I have ink in this guy, actually. Yeah, look at that. I actually inked this up just the other day when I did that video on inking this Model 20. That was this one. Man, I have already emptied this sucker. So when I say these are wet and that I've been using them a lot, I ain't kidding. Let's make sure it's still right. All right, I've got a little bit of ink left. Hopefully it'll make it through this review. All right, so this is the Franklin-Christoph. Flex SIG. If you haven't tried a SIG nib, man, go try a SIG nib. This ink is Sailor's Aurori. Which is probably my favorite red right now, and part of that reason is because it is just a dense red that doesn't have any shading or anything. It's a red, a bright, screamy red. But also, as you can see here, as it dries, lots of golden sheen. It is a gorgeous ink. Anyway, let's do some horizontals and verticals while we're waiting for that bit to dry there. And you can see the horizontal or the verticals on here are pretty wide, a bit wider, I think, than the ones with the round nib, although not a huge difference. You can definitely tell the difference at the edges of the line, I think. But here's where the big difference is. Put it on the page. I was looking at the screen and not the paper. And that is the horizontals here are much thinner. But the verticals, if you give it a little bit of flex, especially if it actually had ink in it. There we go. Much larger than the regular. You can get quite a bit of flex out of these guys. And then your squiggles will be also much more drastic than they were with this one, just because of that SIG grind. So if you haven't tried the stub metallic gradient, man, get that SIG. It's good. All right, let's do a more sort of formal quote. This is from my boy Plato. And this is from The Republic. Another quote I sort of have to tell myself quite a lot. I mean, the always forward, forward, always thing is like inspirational, and man, there's an episode in there where I like teared up. But this one, man, this is one I got to tell myself a lot, even when I'm just doing an ink review or a pen review or a nib review of some kind. Is that the most important part of the work is beginning, because you can't do the work if you don't begin the work. That's just one of those things that's true about life. All right, folks, so this has been the Franklin-Christoph Flex Nib and Flex SIG review. Let's go ahead and back out a little bit, get both of them on the screen. There we go. Cool. You can get these, as I said, with any of their number 6 size nib pens, and that means that's most of the line. There are only a few pens that don't use the number 6 nib, and these can go in any of those. I would get one that that you can eyedropper or something. I think that would be a good idea, because as I said, I've gone through so much ink with these guys. They will put out some ink. I mean, if you're used to using, or if you've used the music nib or something like that, I think these put out at least as much ink as those music nibs do, and it's the same feeds and all that. So they keep up. You can write quickly with these guys, and they give you that cool expressive flair without needing to go to a dip nib or something like that. And also, and this is the thing I like, and maybe this isn't going to be a thing you like, but one of the things I like about this is that they are not super fine. I don't really like fine nibs all that much, like really very fine nibs. And if you want to get a nib that has a lot of expressiveness to it, often they go to like just a tiny little needle point, and you can flex them out to something bigger. That means that I'm not going to write with it normally. These guys can be everyday writers. I've written a bunch of random stuff with these, just like notes for class, schedule stuff, notes when I'm grading things, just all kinds of stuff with these pens, and I haven't had any problem with them as a daily writer. The only possible problem is if you're using bad paper, these guys are going to go right through it, or even like not good paper, because they have so much such flow. If you use a drier ink, perhaps maybe that would clear that up. Though there are a few of the Franklin-Christoph inks that are a bit drier, like the Terra Firma, and I want to say like Tenebris Purpuratum is a bit on the drier side, and I think that would probably pair well with these if you're not using really good paper like Rhodia, which is coated, and these don't go through Rhodia at all. I mean, nothing really. You can sort of see this a little bit, but it's no bleed through or anything like that. And these are putting down a lot of ink. So definitely check these out. As I said, you can get these for the same price as a regular gold nib, which is pretty awesome. If you get a gold nib, that adds an extra $90 to the price, and you could do that with a flex nib. That's really cool. The flex SIG is like an extra $10, so it'll add like $100 to the price. And you can buy them by themselves, which is cool, at $115 and $125, I believe. Which, while that is the same price, or like the price of some other pens, if you're going to get a gold nib anyway, I would say at least add one of these flex nibs to your complement, your stable, because man, they're cool. If you're writing cards, if you're writing titles for things, if you want your writing to just look a little bit awesome, or if you just want to have a nib that looks really cool like these do, man, get one. Also, these feel great when you write with them. There's so much bounce. So many bounce. I really enjoy writing with it. I enjoy these at least as much as I enjoy writing with, like, I don't know, my Pelikan M1000, which has a big soft gold nib on it. And these guys give you that same kind of thing. But I mean, if you get an M1000, you know what the price of an M1000 is. These are like $100 for these nibs. So, check it out. I encourage you to see them at a show. If you go to DC, they will certainly have them out there. Check these out online. I've got these up. Gourmet Pens will have these up. Stephen Brown will have these up, I'm sure. Check them out on Instagram. Check me out on Instagram. I am at Inkdependence. I am inkdependence.com. And I will see you later on. Peace out. Hey, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and click one of those things over there on the side. You can subscribe to my channel, you can like it, you can leave a comment below, you can help me out on Patreon by becoming a patron and helping to fund these blog adventures. And hey, check out those videos over there on the left-hand side. I will see y'all later. Peace out.